Hello all, today we're going to be taking a look at Web of Spider-Man number 70, where Spider-Man became the Hulk, basically, for a whole issue. It's pretty awesome. I don't think anyone even remembers this. I remember seeing this cover as a kid. I was like, oh my god, I have to buy this. I would buy Spider-Man anyways. But this is really neat. Like, Spider, strongest there is. He refers to himself as Spider. Are you ready for SpiderHulk? Probably the first and only appearance of SpiderHulk, I guess. And here we have a Wrath of the Black Manta cover, NES in full swing in the early 90s. This is 1990. Black Manta is a cool ninja thing. I think this is the last gasp of the whole ninja craze. Ninjas would still pop up in video games like the newer 3D Ninja Gaidens and stuff for Xbox, but so here we have Spider-Man carrying a thing. It's some sort of technical device that he got from a previous issue where he fought the Hulk, and there was this technical device was shot at Spider-Man, and so remember that, kids. So he's running around with this thing. He wants to figure out what it is, and he's weakened. And so he puts it into like a train station locker, and then there's some sort of a commotion happening with cops, and Spider-Man wants to get involved, but he's too weak, so he sits it out. Here's an ad for Gargoyle's Quest. I had this for Game Boy. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty much I think it's the Gargoyle from the Ghosts and Goblins video games. And they're touting the graphics are so real you'll forget it's only a game. I don't know why they went that route. It's just an awesome RPG action game. It's pretty cool. I don't know if they ever did more with this. I think there's a Super Nintendo version of this game along the same lines. I think it's probably a sequel to it, but it's awesome. Yeah, so Peter Parker comes back, and he had apparently abandoned Betty Brant, who was supposed to be a reporter on the same assignment he was on to take photos of, and so they berate him here, and he can't take it. He storms out, and he's still upset, and he feels weird, and there's these cops that are trying to stop him, and here he hulks out. He can't take the strain, and he's hulking out. And what it is that when he was blasted with that weird device, it turned him into the Hulk, basically. Whenever he gets excited or something, he turns into the Hulk, and here he's SpiderHulk. I like that they still maintain the armpit webbing. That's cool. So here he's attacking a couple cops. No one's ever really seriously hurt in this issue. It's Spider-Man, and he uproots the ground that they're on, and then he jumps off, and they're like, "What the heck was that?" Here's some warehouse sale stuff. Of course, this kind of thing went away by the end of the 90s when the internet became a thing. But yeah, I used to look at these and look at what the comics were at the time, and maybe there's something I didn't know about. You see RoboCop, you see Legion, you see Ghostbusters from Now Comics, G.I. Joe, etc. So here he comes down, and a bunch of homeless people take him in, and they don't like unmask him or anything. They just want to help him out. I thought this was pretty neat. Later on, he confronts Betty Brant, and here we have a 2-page Splatterhouse commercial. So this is fairly significant because this is just before, you see there's no rating here. This is just before the whole rating thing happened. As I recall, as a young man, I remember Splatterhouse, or at least one of the sequels, and Mortal Kombat 2 were the games that really spurred debate at least in the United States about perhaps there being some sort of code, like some sort of like a age code have some games be restricted, etc., etc. And so the birth of the M for mature rating, T for teen rating, etc., etc. was born. But before all this, Splatterhouse was gleefully sold in department stores, etc., all over all over North America and perhaps all over the world. Splatterhouse was a fairly violent game. I mean, mostly the main character. It was designed to look sort of like the slasher characters of the time in horror movies, which were kind of being phased out anyways in film. Like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and the Shape, Michael Myers from the Halloween movies. And there's blood in them, but really mostly what your character is attacking is monsters and stuff, like not even humans. But yeah, this kind of violent game spurred debate and gave birth to the rating system that we have today. So here, Spider-Man is sneaking around trying to find answers about the device he has, and he trips an alarm, and then that gets him all excited, and he becomes the Hulk again. And then he goes back to being Spider-Man pretty quickly. They don't give you a lot of SpiderHulk here. What they do give you is pretty cool, but like, considering that this is like one of the only times or probably the only time he hulks out, it's probably happened elsewhere and I don't know about it, but it wouldn't happen for a long time. These game tip books, I don't have these. I have other ones. I usually just bought them just to see if there's anything cool that I didn't know about, or just to read about video games that I already own, but I still just like the game so much I wanted to read like someone else's take on them before the internet, right? So here, Spider-Man goes back to the locker and sees that the device is gone, someone stole it. So then he hulks out because he's really angry. He accuses this guy, and he's like, no, a couple of kids took it. They went down that way. And he's like, Spider thank. And he's like, don't mention it. And then SpiderHulk attacks these kids that stole the device. Cops shoot at him and stuff. He smashes the ground and they go flying all over the place. And here's more like list of comics. Let me see if there's anything I didn't know about. And then at one point, Spider-Man brings down a clock on everyone. Everyone gets out of the way in just in the nick of time. And he gets blasted with the machine again, and it conveniently gets rid of all his gamma radiation, and he's back to being regular Spider-Man. And it begs the question, well, if we have something like this, why don't we just shoot it at the Hulk? I don't... It's like, this is very convenient for SpiderHulk, so that he goes back to being regular Spider-Man, but, I mean, if we have a thing like this, just shoot it at all the Hulks, and you're done, you know? And here we have a Stan soapbox. I don't know if there's anything like earth-shattering here. Usually he'd put, Stan Lee would put like updates about TV stuff, etc., but not so much here. And here's a bunch of items about what's going on in the Marvel bullpen, like what upcoming issues are happening, etc. And here, Spider-Man is bemused by this ad put out by, like a big billboard put out by the Daily Bugle. So at this point in Spider-Man continuity, the Puma is trying to work off a debt for Spider-Man by buying the Daily Bugle and then putting out a bunch of pro-Spider-Man ads because he felt that the Daily Bugle was being too negative to him, of course. It's a whole thing. It's a story that ran in Spider-Man titles at this time, and he's like, well, that's not gonna last because of what I just did, and then that's the end of the issue. Mighty Mouse was entering a resurgence of sorts, but Batman had come out the year before and was still white hot, and so they did some, the Dark Might returns, right? So There was a cartoon at this time, which was very short-lived for Mighty Mouse, and there is a Marvel comic that got put out. It says a Star Comics presentation. I have Mighty Mouse one. I'm pretty sure that the Star imprint is gone at this point, just at least on covers. I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to dig it out to check, but I'm pretty sure that Mighty Mouse has a Marvel Comics imprint like this, but it's like put right there. And Back to the Future 2 and 3, the video game, and a subscription page, which of course are missing from all comics nowadays because the internet. And here's a dungeon board game put out by TSR. TSR had tons of ads for their products in comics around this time, late 80s, early 90s. They really knew their audience, but it's funny, you go through these comics from that period and it's like TSR products all over the place. Anyways, that is a look at SpiderHulk from Web of Spider-Man number 70.